Good morning, students. Today, before we start our topic, I'll ask few questions. Why do we use a cell or a battery in a circuit? Yes, it acts as a source. It provides the electrical energy. How does it help for the current to flow? The chemical action within the cell generates potential difference between its two terminals and helps the electrons to flow in the circuit. What happens to the chemical energy of the cell when this happens? The chemical energy of the cell is used to maintain the flow of current. What exactly happens to this energy? Like, where is it used for? This energy, the chemical energy which is used for the flow of electrons, that is nothing but the electric current. Some will be converted into useful work and the remaining energy appears as heat energy. If you use an electric fan continuously for a long time and you switch off the fan, when you touch the blades of the fan, you will notice that they become warm. So some energy here is converted into heat energy. If you remember, in our previous module, we have learnt about resistivity. We have seen that resistivities of different materials at a given temperature will not be the same. Certain materials offer a high resistance. That means they do not allow the current to flow through them very easily. If you consider the alloy nichrome, it has a high resistance. When electric current is passed through the nichrome wire, it opposes the energy, the electrical energy, and it will be converted into heat energy. So the nichrome wire becomes very hot because of its high resistivity. All the energy will be converted into heat energy. So this is called as the heating effect of electric current. Now consider a resistor R as shown in the circuit diagram. It is connected along with a cell, a plug key, an ammeter and an voltmeter. Remember the way you need to connect the ammeter and the voltmeter. Ammeter in series and voltmeter in parallel. Now, let the current flowing through the resistor be I. The ammeter reading be I. And the potential difference across the resistor between the points X and Y be V. Now, consider that a charge Q, capital Q, flows through it in a time T. So, a charge Q is flowing through the resistor for a time T. Then, the work done to move the charge Q through a potential difference V will be equal to V into Q. W equal to V into Q. We have learned this formula when we discussed about potential difference. This means that the cell must supply an energy equal to V into Q. It is because work done and energy consumed. Work done and the energy consumed will be equal in an isolated system. So in this formula, if you substitute for V and Q, their values. Now let's see how we can get the values of V and Q. From Ohm's law, we know that V equal to IR, and from the definition of electric current, we know that I equal to Q by T. So Q will be equal to I into T. So we will take V as IR and Q as I into T. We will substitute these values of V and Q in the equation W equal to V into Q. Then we will have W equal to IR into IT, which is nothing but I square RT. If this is the work done by the source, spending some of the energy in a circuit that is completely resistive. That means the circuit is opposing the flow of electrons. It's not allowing the electrons to flow through it easily. Then this work done will be converted into heat energy, or rather it appears in the form of heat. Thus, heat energy produced in a resistor will be equal to I square RT. So we can write H equal to I square RT. This relation H equal to I square RT is known as Joule's law of heating. What do we call? Joule's law of heating. The law states that the heat produced in a resistor is directly proportional to the square of the current, H proportional to I square, directly proportional to the resistance, H proportional to R, and directly proportional to the time for which the current flows through the resistor, H proportional to T. So in this law, we have three parts. The first one says H is directly proportional to I square. The second part, H is proportional to the resistance R. And the third part, H is directly proportional to T, the time for which the current flows. And this law is known as Joule's law of heating. Now, knowing the law, we should know where this Joule's law is applicable in our daily life. So we are going to discuss few appliances which will work on the heating effect of electric current in our next class. But before that, can you name few appliances which will produce heat? Yes. An electric iron, the bulb, and the room heater, they produce heat. Now what about the electric fuse? Now when the current flows in excess through a circuit, it may damage the appliance. Then the fuse wire will be acting as a protective measure. It will melt and will break the circuit. So we are going to learn about electric fuse, which works on the heating effect of electric current in our next module. We will be learning about various appliances which work on the heating effect of electric current. For today, we will conclude our class here.